among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words.
Hi, this is Apartment Hunting in New York City 101 as a first timer. So I actually moved to New York City back in the winter of 2022. So my experience back then, I wouldn't even call it like apartment hunting at all because I just found whatever I saw on Street Easy and went with it and I lucked out. But if no one has ever told you this, winter and summer apartment hunting in the city is totally different ballgame. So in the winter, you get really good deals. So you can get deals like $500 to $1,000 cheaper per month compared to the summer. And it's the same building, but very similar unit, but it's just that much cheaper because demand is a lot lower. However, the caveat is that in the winters, there's not a lot of movement. So if there's not a lot of movement, finding roommates was really difficult for me. So that was the thing that I was stressed out about back in the winter. But now in the summer, as I'm finding it in 2024, apartments are getting snatched. Competition is so high here in the summers. And the thing is, like, what you would tour a unit, the unit could be already have an application in, and right after your tour, they would say, oh, sorry, this apartment is actually already taken. So that's how fast things get taken around here. So all in all, in the winters, you'll definitely get a better deal. But if you don't know anyone who's in your like same lease cycle as you, then finding roommates could be a challenge. And then in the summers, things just get taken so quickly, so you're really constantly touring. And then just for your imaginations, for your dream apartment to be crushed. So that's something to keep in mind. So I'm gonna show you 5 different apartments that we toured and give you a sense of how the requirements that we were looking for. So we were really budgeting around $2,000 per person, which is a bit higher than what we initially wanted, but you know, you have to have a little bit of wiggle room. It is what it is in the city, but we were looking for either 2 bedrooms plus a flex room, so it equals like a 2 true bed and 1 flex room with 2 bathrooms, or we were looking for a 1 bedroom and to make it into a 2 bedroom and 1 bathroom. Hope that makes sense. But location wise, we were looking at on the island, in Manhattan, or in LIC. A lot of people said LIC is really going to give you your bang for your buck because all the buildings there are new development, so you're going to get that slab of marble, the greatest lighting and everything. So that's why we also considered LIC. And we were looking for places that were around a 5-minute walk to the metro station and around a 2-minute walk to the bike stations. I'm a big biker, so I really like having that type of transportation. And I guess in our would likes would be an in-unit laundry or definitely an in-building laundry room, and then a 24-hour doorman would be ideal for security, and then a lift if it's over like 5 floors. So those were some of the would likes in our category. So the first apartment that I'm going to show you, it's our precious baby. She's going to be living in my mind rent-free probably for the next few years, because this apartment building I call the one that got away, because we were the only people that were actually really interested to put an application down. It was on the market for a few months already. It was located in Manhattan, which is checked off the box. It was a 4-bed and a 3.5 bath. And it was unfortunate that it got away. But overall, it was because the rent was $12,000 a month. But once you see the videos, look at how beautiful it was. Like, the kitchen was like the most Nara Smith kitchen ever. Do you see the checkered flooring? We loved it because it was 4 floors. It was a townhouse. It was huge. So the first floor actually had an elevator in it, and which leads to the second floor, and the second floor was this just grand space of perfect living. You could easily put like 2 or 3 couches in there. There was a terrace, and it was just perfect. And the third floor could be the boys' rooms. So it would be like 2 boys would live in it. There was a laundry room. And then the 4th floor would be for the girls. But however, there was a rooftop with a solarium, a 360 view of the city. And at that point we were like, okay, rent for $3,000 is totally fine because we can like light candles or whatever the heck. However, the downside of why it fell through is because one of the rooms didn't have its own bathroom, so you would have to share with someone and you would have to go through someone's room in order to go to the bathroom. So it was just a little bit inconvenient. But the thing was, one of the questions you should ask your broker or whoever's showing you your unit is how much is electricity, because recently Con Ed has been increasing its rates like crazy. There's no regulation on it, so they can do whatever they want, but the broker told us that it was between $700 to $800 a month. And then my friend who knew people in real estate, they said that you should probably add around 20% to that. So the electrical bill would probably have ended up $1,000 a month. Yeah, so it got away. Unfortunately, we couldn't take the unit and we couldn't put an application down for it because $1,000 for electrical bill was something not within our tax bracket at the moment. So unit number 2, this is called the duplex. She's located in LIC. The rent rate was around $7,500, but it was a true 3-bed and it was a 1.5 bath. So the reason why we loved it was because that there was a living space and no one had to take the flex room. There was also a terrace, which was one of my friends' like wood likes, so that was something that checked the box. But essentially it fell through because it only had 1 full bath. So upstairs was technically like the master bedroom, but the master bedroom only had half a bath, which is kind of weird to have just like a toilet and a sink in your bathroom if it's not an ensuite. So the 3 of us would have had to share a bathroom. And one thing my friend didn't really like was that the bathroom wasn't very modern, which I totally agree, because the bathroom was very dark, so you can't really tell when to clean things or like if you wanted to clean things because it was just really icky, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was one of the reason why we ended up not putting an application onto it, even though it was 2 floors and it had a great view and everything, but we thought that there was more out there. Apartment number 3 is called It Could Go Very Wrong or It Could Go Very Right. So this unit is located also in LIC. It's a 2-bed, but you can flex it to make it into a 3-bed, and it had 2 bathrooms. However, if you flex the room, it would have ended up being a really small flex room and a really small living room. And because we were all friends, living space was ideal for us because we wanted a place where we can just all hang out after work, you know, do a little chit chat. So that was essentially why it ended up falling through for us. Another thing that we loved about the unit was that it was a new development. So everything sparkling, like you had a bidet. Like you had a bidet from Toto. If you know, Japanese bidets are top tier. And also what I really loved about it is that the wardrobe had, when you opened it, it lit up. There was lights inside the wardrobe, and then it also had built-in storage, so that had drawers inside. But because it's a new development, there will always be problems, like either leakages, light outages, like things like that. And then another thing was that when we entered in vicinity, it wasn't even complete. Real estate agent who gave us a tour, she said that it would be complete in 2 weeks time. And knowing how American like construction works, 2 weeks seemed not realistic at all, because the lobby, there was no floor in the lobby. It was still concrete. Nothing was like made. Some of the units had the laundry machine still in the living room. Not everything was completely ready to be moved in, so that it just didn't seem realistic for the move-in date to be in 2 weeks. So that's why it did not go through for us, and we didn't really want to risk that. And I would call this one our ideal She was a rent of $7,999, so it was within budget because it was a 3-bed plus a flex room, and it had 3 baths. So the rent would have been shared between 4 people, which within budget. She was located in Manhattan, which was my ideal location, and we loved it. One, because she's within budget. The flex room was really good sized with also a living space, so we could have a really nice living room. There was also a wardrobe for the flex room. And why it fell through, because the broker seemed a little too desperate. He was kind of weird. I will say, he was like telling us that he got a promotion like halfway through when we were touring. So I was like, oh, that's like weird. And then why do you need everyone phone number, social security, even though we're not even like signing the lease yet? So it was just a little sus for us. And then another thing was that the move-in date was a little too early, and the location was also a little bit iffy because when we were touring it, it was midday and there was just people on the streets that did not look sober, and we didn't know exactly what it would look like in the evening, and safety is definitely one of our big like priorities. So that was why we ended up not putting a application for this, even though the floor to ceiling windows was beautiful. Last but not least, this one is called In the End, It Was For the Better. This was actually the only unit that we submitted an application for because it hit all our requirements. So it had $6,499 of rent a month, plus there was 1 month of free rent. So the gross turned out to be a little less than $6,000 within budget. And then it's located in LIC. It was a 2-bed, but we were able to flex the living room. And so flexing the living room and a good size common space. And what was also great about it was that there was the floor to ceiling windows. You had a perfect view of the Manhattan skyline. So you can imagine how beautiful it would look like in the evening or during sunset. And the reason why it fell through was that management from the moment we walked into the building and our last contact, it was just nothing but a nightmare. So when we first walked in, I had a touring scheduled, and when I went up to the receptionist, she's like, no, you don't have a touring schedule. I was like, well, I do, because here's the text confirmation. And then she just kept talking back to me saying like, oh, well, you're not on our schedule. I was like, okay, but that's not my problem because someone scheduled me in. Anyways, it was just like very rude behavior of someone who is the forefront of the building. So it was a bit of red flags. But then when we saw the unit, we're like, okay, maybe it's not too bad. But then comes the part where we were doing our application. There was just a lot of issues with the leasing manager. She just kept saying that our photos were blurry. It was a lot of back and forth. We had okay, if a blurry photo, that's fine. We'd submit another one, email her, no response, and we'd have to constantly call her. So we'd call her like, oh, hey, we submitted our new photos. When can we get an update? Okay, 24 hours to 48 hours later, I'll give you a call. So the leasing agent was supposed to give us a call. Okay, 48 hours would pass. Cricket noise. And so it was just a lot of us trying to push her to push our application out. And we submitted our application around like 2 weeks before the initial ideal move-in date. And it was the move-in date day, so August 1st, she comes back to us and says, oh, hey, I just submitted your application. You'll get a response within 48 to 72 hours. But before this is that my roommate and I kept getting emails saying that we got accepted into the apartment. Like, oh, congratulations, welcome to X building, okay? Then why are you telling me that we didn't get accepted if the building is emailing us saying that we got accepted? So it was just a lot of, yes, we got accepted, no, didn't get accepted. So it was very unorganized, no communication whatsoever. And then I had to hire movers, right, to move our stuff into the building. And so in the end, we asked our movers to move our stuff into storage. And so 1, we had to pay for storage, and 2, we'll have to hire the movers again, which is another heft of a money, which is like $3K. So we paid double for our movers, so which is really, really unfortunate because of management issues. So this is why I call her it was for the better, because in the long run, if say we got a leakage or we had I don't know, something wrong with our heater or air conditioning, who knows when our things would be fixed. So it was really a management issue that ended up making our application fall through, or else I would be there right now and not at home. But it's really apartment hunting in New York City is not for the faint of the heart. Be prepared, you're gonna get stressed out, but like in the end of the day, you'll find a home, hopefully. Currently I don't have a home yet, but our search is still continuing, which is unfortunate, but hope we have some hits, and hopefully we can make this process smoother than the past one. But thank you so much for tuning in to the end of the video if you did, and if you have any New York City apartment hunting horror stories or apartment hunting horror stories in general, please let me know so that we can all invalidate each other and to have conversation, be annoyed at New York. But thank you so much for watching, and please let me know which apartment you think that I should have ended up getting. Okay, ciao! See you in the next video.